And they're away. They get away a fairly decent break with riding along Thunder Blue on the extreme right, really rushed it along. Just Saw is going to take him along. Red jacket and white sleeves to Thunder Blue in second, and then Sacred Angel on the left in the light blue and yellow. Ramatuelle is right in behind her. Ahead of Ramatuelle is Elite Status, yellow jacket with the spots, the maroon colors then of Sagia. Striped jacket of Van Dijk, yellow and black is next, and followed by Valiant Force, and River Tiber in blue and orange is the back marker at this stage as they move down to halfway. And as they do so, Thunder Blue vigorously ridden along all the time throughout the race is close up to Jasur. Then comes Elite Status with the light blue jacket of Sacred Angel is next. And then Sagia, who's being ridden along towards the left with a white face, is Ramatuelle coming with her challenge as they head down to the 200. And Ramatuelle goes on, pursued by Van Dijk. Here's River Tiber as well in the blue and orange, gaining in the closing stages, but 2 lengths off the leaders. Ramatuelle, she still has the lead. Van Dijk is getting to her though. Van Dijk has just nodded at the line to win to Ramatuelle in second position. There's 2 or 3 lengths behind those two, River Tiber and then Sacred.
Well, there you go. Before we get to our very special guest on this week's Future Stars forecast, had to show the win and you're in action. That's right. That was a Somme Prix won by Van Dijk under Andrea Adzeni, trained by Simon and Ed Crisford. This was for KHK Racing. This is a win and you're in for the Future Stars Friday card, the Juvenile Turf Sprint on November 3rd at Santa Anita. Things are heating up, but that is not the only big 2-year-old performance we saw this weekend, of course. And this is what brings me to my very, very special guest, Hall of Fame rider, Mike Smith. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. Have you ridden at Deauville before?
No, I haven't. I'd love to though.
All right. Well,
it looks great.
We got to make it happen for you, right?
Yeah, work on that. Yeah, I like that.
Well, no, it is really incredible when you think about it. You were actually inducted in the Hall of Fame 20 years ago, and you're still riding at the top of your game. You just got back from the gym, so I mean, obviously that's part of the equation. But what about the mental side of it? What keeps you just pumped and ready to get out there every day?
Oh, I love riding. I just truly do. I love riding races. I love the competition. I love the opportunity to ride some of these talented horses, and especially these young horses that are coming up. I mean, there's just nothing like it. There's nothing like winning a race. You can't find that rush anywhere else but on a horse's back.
I know. And it's become a generational thing. You riding the progeny of horses that you rode to great heights already. And before we really get into the debut of Tamara, I do want to talk about the fact that it is so incredible that I believe that you hold the record not only for the most Breeders' Cup champion wins at 27, the first coming with Lure. You went back-to-back years with Lure, 92, 93 in the mile. But also, you hold the record, I believe, for the most Grade 1 wins. I think it's at 228.
I believe I do. Yeah, I think Johnny's right there behind me. But as for now, anyway, I still have the record. I hope to continue to add to it a little bit before it's all said and done.
No, it's really incredible. I cannot guarantee what the advertisements are going to show on here, everybody, but I do want to pull up the Equibase page for you because it really is something incredible. Let's see if everybody can see this. And you can see it too, right, Mike?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so, I mean, right here, career statistics, I mean, we're looking at nearly $350 million. That's insanity right there. Right?
Been very blessed. I had a great
Amen. I mean,
career, yes.
Inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2003. You've got multiple Eclipse awards. And just look at this roster here. Of course, you won the Triple Crown Justify in 2018. But that first Kentucky Derby win, 2005 with Giacomo. We're going to talk more about that in a moment as well because of the loss of Jerry Moss. But to go to your top horses, it's just a who's who. I mean, Arrogate, Zenyatta, Midnight Bizu, Songbird, again, Justify, Charlatans at stud now, Azeri, and it just goes on with Drosselmail, Royal Delta, Game On Dude, and back to Giacomo. And so I would be remiss if we did not talk about that for a moment. I know that you've already have some quotes in the press regarding your relationship with Mr. Moss, but he passed away on August 15th, 88 years old. Of course, one of the founding members of AMN Records, along with Herb Alpert. And so that's why we get the police references with a lot of the names of the horses, Zenyatta, Mondada. But what was that ride like for you with him? And what are some of the standout moments that you don't mind sharing with us with that relationship?
Oh, it was just such an honor, man, to get the opportunity to ride for a man like that. He was just a beautiful man, a great owner, great to ride for. There was never no added pressure. I mean, even when Zenyatta was going for her 20th in a row, I mean, he never added any pressure. Everything, and when we weren't fortunate enough to pull it off 20 for 20, but I mean, he was so great in defeat as well. He truly was. He was just a first class guy, and every moment that I got to spend with him actually was a highlight. I mean, it really was. He was a very, very interesting man. As you know, he was in A&M Records, and the stories that he could tell. And I'm into music as well, and I'd bring up this artist or this person or this group or this man. And I mean, he had just an amazing story every time he brought someone up. It was just so much fun going out with him at night and hanging out at a lot of our dinners that we had. Did you ever meet Sting? Gonna miss him. Yes. Oh, yes, I did. I went backstage and he actually told me, he says, "You know what?" I said, "What's that?" Sting. He says, "In my whole house, there's not one picture hanging of me up there. And you're right in the middle of my living room, hanging over the fireplace with Giacomo." He said, I can't get my wife to put up one picture of me. And there you are in the middle of my living room. So I thought that was pretty neat. That's amazing. I love it. Did he ever meet Zenyatta? Do you know? Or Giacomo? Yeah, he might have met Giacomo, him and his son. Of course, he's named after his son. Right. They might have. I wasn't there if it happened. Yeah, well, Richard Avilar or Aviar, I don't know if his L's are double Y, make that Y sound the double L, but he says, "My biggest thrill watching the 09 Breeders' Cup Classic, the grandstand shook like never before." Amazing. And that is so true. And I know you and Zenyatta are inextricably linked for life. But I mean, if you're going to have a partner in your career like that, what better than the queen? She was the greatest dance partner to ever have. She was just amazing. I was just so blessed to be a part of her career, just be a part of her. And the grandstand truly did shake. That was a time, I always say this, that the ground shook in California, and it wasn't because of an earthquake. It was just her fans. I mean, it would seem like a 20-minute standing ovation, and I rode her all the way up to one end of the grandstand, back to the other, so that everyone could appreciate her. She was really special. She is special. She still is. Oh, have you been out to see the new Warfront baby girl? I haven't seen the new baby girl, but I was there before she had the new baby girl, and got a chance to visit her for about an hour out at the farm, and got a chance just to pet on her and love on her for a while. Oh my gosh! Well, I saw her. We did a special full Friday for Breeders' Cup. We went out. We had David and Gordo with us, and he talked about Zenyatta and the whole story. And that little filly, and I shouldn't call her little because she's not, but she is just so full of personality. She's beautiful, everything you want. And I would hope that you're going to keep riding because you need to ride her, right? It's her last foal. That would be amazing if something like that could work out. I feel good enough too right now. I still feel amazing. I really do. I just left the gym. I'm still able to do the same things that I was doing when I was 30, and I feel great doing it. So as long as I can stay healthy, good Lord's willing, we'll see. Amen. So yeah, Nimue, that's her name. And I should say also, I did read an article with you recently because you turned 58 years old, which is insane. You look so young. You're keeping yourself so fit, obviously, just back from the gym. But this was on August 10th. And just a little, bit prior to that, on July 22nd, you won this race. Let's show the replay of the Haskell, because I think this is, pretty incredible here, because we are going to talk about the 2-year-old filly, of course, but
I mean, how do you not talk about this win, especially when Go Rocket Ride looks to be pointed toward the Pacific Classic? So tell us about this horse. This was your first time aboard him, right?
Yeah, it's my first time in a race. I've been breezing him up, working him up to this race. I'd been on him about 3 times in the morning, and I knew he had talent, and he had already proven that he had talent. But I didn't realize he was this good. I mean, he even surprised me. I mean, because when we headed for home, Mage came at him with a full head of steam. And when I called on him, I mean, he set me back into the seat. I couldn't believe the acceleration he had, through the lane. And I was just, really, really impressed. And he's doing really well. And yes, he's pointing to the Pacific Classic. So hopefully we can see if we can pull it off again. But he's doing really, really well. He has a lot of upside to him too. He's very lightly raised.
Yeah, and this was a win in your in for the Longines Classic, and he put up a career best buyer of 100. That's his first triple digit. As you said, trained by Richard Mandella. This is for Pin Oak Stud. He was bred by OXO Equine, and here you are, really getting him into position. I mean, right here, he's going so easy. He's closing over these horses. It looks like well within himself.
He really was, and I didn't want to give Arabian Night a breather. He's a really talented colt himself, and he's coming off a bit of a layoff, and of course he didn't get an easy lead. So once he did start to pull away, I wanted to make sure and be on top of him. But in doing that, it also set it up for Mage right here, who made a really big run at him. And then, as you see here, when I called on him, he just accelerated and just opened up his stride, and he acts like the 1.8 mile wasn't a problem at all. So hopefully a 1.25 mile shouldn't be as well.
Well, he's a son of Candy Ride, who won the Pacific Classic. So hopefully he can follow in daddy's hoof prints, so to speak. But yeah, that's Go Rocket Ride. And when you are approaching the Pacific Classic and he's going to be going against older horses, how do you approach that? I mean, do you feel that the horses are aware of that dynamic, or do you think that, a class horse is a class horse? They're not worried about if the one next to him is a year older.
Yeah, I think a class horse is pretty much a class horse. And then this time of year, 3-year-olds are competing pretty well with older horses. But older horses are tough, as you know. They've been training for quite a while, and this is a very lightly raised horse. So older horses are hard to beat. But what he's lacking in experience, he gains in talent. He's just really, really talented.
Yeah. Well, before I move on, again, this is a show about 2-year-olds, but it wouldn't be fitting if I didn't bring up that horse and what else is going on in the Mike Smith world. And also I am going to pull in some questions and comments as we go along. Junior Blake says, what was it like riding inside information in the Breeders' Cup at Belmont? Something she could have run with Cigar that day.
She certainly could have run with him without a doubt. As she still has the largest margin of victory in the Breeders' Cup. I think it was 13 lengths.
Yeah, something insane.
She was extremely talented anyway. But then in the mud, man, she just skipped over the mud like it was like a little deer just running through the meadow. She just absolutely loved the off track, and I think she would have gave the boys a run for their money that day.
Yeah. Oh, obviously she's a legend, and you've had, as you would say, and as I would say as well, the blessing of being aboard a lot of really good horses. I think something that people forget is that you actually did ride Beholder yourself, and fittingly, you rode her and won the 2014 Zenyatta Stakes aboard her. Yeah,
and it wasn't. She came out of that race with a bit of a temperature. She got a little sick right after that race, so she probably wasn't even 100% that day, and still pulled it off pretty handy. She was just an amazing mare. And then of course she beat me in the Breeders' Cup Distaff when I was on Songbird. But
that was so dramatic. Are you kidding?
I thought in that race, that was one of those races where there just wasn't a loser in that race. I feel like they both won.
Absolutely. And I think you both have referred to each other as as brothers, you and Gary Stevens. And to take to the wire it was really one of the most scintillating finishes we've seen in the Breeders' Cup. It was very much akin to what we saw in the Preakness with Sunday Silence and Easy Goer. When you came out of that, did you guys know right away who won?
I actually thought I did, and then I saw Gary celebrate, and I thought, "Oh man, poor guy, he's celebrating, and he got beat." He wind up beating me just by half a
Oh,
nose, So, but it was a great race, and it'll go down in history as one of the greatest Breeders' Cup performances,
for
Distaff's anyway, of all time, I would imagine.
For sure. And that was Beholder's second distaff and her third Breeders' Cup win overall. I want to take this back. Even though you weren't riding, it was another Hall of Famer, Garrett Gomez. I just want to show sort of a comparison of Beholder at 2 years old. Here she is winning the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. And then we're going to take it to her daughter, her fourth foal, Tamara, and your win aboard her first time out just this past weekend. So first, here she is. And the video itself has a little bit of a odd coloring tint to it. I'm not quite sure why, but it is pretty remarkable when you see these horses who were so good themselves, championship horses, Hall of Fame horses, and they had this talent at 2 years old, and she was able to carry it on for years. And that's part of what people, I know Zenyatta started later, but still, like, it's the longevity. These horses, gather fans and it just accrues until they become sort of a household name. And that's one of the things that obviously Beholder brought to the table.
I was just watching this race and forgot how quick Beholder was early on as well. She was, very quick mare early on, and then later on in her career, she kind of liked to come from off the pace just a little bit, and I don't know, it probably prolonged her career being able to do that. It's tough when you have to be on the lead all the time, or you get a horse that's just naturally quick, and at some point people start really pressing them. So when you can sit off of the pace, it certainly helps prolong their career, I think, anyway.
Oh, yeah. And obviously when you have somebody of talent and insight of Richard Mandella nurturing this horse along throughout the career is certainly of benefit as well. And the other thing too, because we so often hear about with the girls, the fillies, the mares, a lot of them lose interest after a while. They want to, the hormones kick in. They want to go be moms, but they never seem to lose their edge.
Not these above these kind of fillies. These above average fillies, man. They love to run, and they're that good for a reason. Not only are they talented, but they have a passion for it. They seem to love it. They don't get tired of it.
No, that is for sure. And she is the only female, just like Zinya's the only female to have won the Classic. Beholder's the only female to have won the Pacific Classic. Of course, that's run there at Del Mar. And that is where you rode her daughter against the fourth foal out of Beholder. She's by Bolt d'Oro. Bolt d'Oro was super talented. Won the first 3 starts of his career, including the Del Mar Futurity, as well as the Front Runner Stakes, which is now the American Pharoah Stakes. Now, this is a long video. I want to show the whole thing because I want to show the race from the regular pan shot, and then I want to show the head-on, because the head-on really gives you an idea of how much that start could have been a hindrance to any other horse, especially a 2-year-old. But let's go ahead. We're going to present it, and you take us through it, please, Mike.
Sure. She was standing really good in the gate, actually. I mean, she was pointed straight down the race, and she just broke so fast. She's actually a pretty quick filly herself, and she just didn't get her front feet up, and we almost rolled, did a little roll there for a minute, but fortunate for us, we were able to get up. And although she's look, it's hard to win from the one hole, even if you break well, but to stumble and to do what she did was pretty impressive. Luckily, Mr. Mandella is very thorough with his horses, and we've actually been through this practice in the morning where I've set her back behind and actually gotten through on the fence and then let her work on. We've done a little bit of everything with her, so I knew she would probably handle this okay, and probably could have stayed down in there and tried to get through, but the opportunity came to have a clear trip, a for sure clear trip, and I went for that instead of opting to try and sneak on through. He might have seen me down in there and shut the door on me. But when I got her out right here, I mean, she just accelerated, and I mean, it was an impressive race. I think we both draw away here and just outbeat the rest of the field by about 6 or 7, maybe even more.
Yeah, and that filly had experience, the 3.
And Philly had already run once, yeah.
Yeah.
So she had some experience and probably a little fitness edge over me. And look what she's able to do. I mean, she showed that was 6.5. I think she's just going to want to keep stretching on out.
As somebody who's been up close and personal and actually has ridden Beholder in a race, one of the things that we're seeing with photo comparisons is just how much they resemble each other. With your intimate knowledge of both, what would you say beyond just the looks?
You know, Beholder was a bit, she's a bit kinder, yeah, to be around at the barn. Beholder could be pretty tough and pretty mean to be around, from what I understand. You know, like I said, I only rode her the one time and didn't get a chance to really be around her much. But this filly seems to be a sweetheart around the barn. But she's a whole lot like her mother. Not only does she look like her, I mean, she's actually pretty quick. If she doesn't stumble, I wouldn't have been surprised if she'd have been on the lead.
Really?
Yeah, and I mean, she still got up and probably could have made the lead if I would have asked her to. So, but what I really liked is that she was able to settle off horses. So, you know, she's not going to need the lead type. She was able to settle off of them. She's extremely talented. She waits on her rider. Very well balanced. She just gets over the ground so easy. Things just come easy for her, and there's just a lot of upside to her, and just so excited about her.
I love the professionalism she showed, where she was content to settle inside of horses. A lot of horses, let alone 2-year-olds, do not want to be anywhere buried, you know, in the cavalry as they're charging down whether, you know, backside, front side, anywhere. When that did happen, did you feel that she never really changed her? And there, by the way, everybody, you see the head on of just how dramatic that stumble. Here it is again. We're going to see it. Post 1, everybody keep your eye on post 1, and you'll see.
She just didn't get her front legs up there, and man, she popped up, and I almost rolled off the back of her. But and then she realized she missed the break, and she wanted to catch up like now, and she probably could have. And it took me just a jump or two to talk her out of it. But when I did, she settled right down, got right back into stride. So I knew, you know, she was still going to run well. The filly that we beat was the favorite and had got an easy lead because of my stumble, and I thought she was going to be hard to get by, and she was. I mean, she's a very talented filly in her own right, but this thing's just so way above average.
And I mean, for her to go out there and have to overcome that, if this is her first time running, she's going 6.5 furlongs, she gets an 80 by her first time out. And that's a good question too. I will ask you, when you are looking at figures, whether it's buyers, thoroughgraphs, ragazines, what do you have something that you subscribe to most, or no?
Not necessarily. It's just the way they do it, and who they do it with and against. You know, that was a nice filly that she outran, and the way she did it was very impressive. And I had several other top trainers afterwards comment on her. It's like, wow, that was really, really impressive. So she opened up everybody's eyes after this.
Oh, I am sure. And the official margin, 2 1/4 lengths. We do have some questions here. Lee Davis. Hey, Lee. Lee is asking, what's the difference between riding a filly and a colt? What makes what makes you better on a filly than other jockeys? You know how to talk to the ladies, right? You know how to finesse them.
I've been fortunate to have ridden some crazy fillies and mares, man. It's just you know, you got soft hands, kind of just like you have to be in life. You know, they like to be treated a little different. Boys are a little tougher, a little rougher. You know, you can kind of get into their mouth a little bit and show them what to do and how to do it. And the fillies, if you can do it with finesse, it works a whole lot better.
I think the old saying is, you tell a gelding, you ask a stallion, and you negotiate with a mare.
Yeah. Exactly. There you are. That's a perfect answer right there.
But what a beauty she is. I mean, she's just a really well-balanced, beautiful horse. It looks like they don't have a lot of gear going on with the bridle there, so I'm guessing she's pretty easy to handle in the mouth. Just overall impressions again.
Just really excited about her future. I really am. I saw, she's named after Mr. Hughes's daughter, Tamara, and I saw her. She was at the funeral for Mr. Moss, and we were there the day before. And I asked her, she was excited about her running. She said, "I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to be there." It was her daughter's 25th birthday.
Oh,
And
really?
I said, "Well, I'm going to tell you, Tammy, I think we might be giving you, your daughter anyway, a special birthday, because this filly's above average. We're going to find out. I know there's a couple of really nice fillies in there, including Mandella's other filly.
Yeah, the
That they
7.
like as well. She's been training really well and really forward. But I said, if she runs like I think she can, we might see something special. Of course, I wasn't, counting the stumble, leaving there. Otherwise, who knows what the margin could have been by. But for her to do what she did after she stumbled was very impressive, and I'm really, really looking forward to her future.
For those who don't know, how many strides, generally speaking, does it take for a horse to get their legs back under them after something like that?
Depending on the stumble, but she was so athletic. She got up running forward pretty quick. It probably cost her a length or so, leaving there. But again, she probably would have been in front and just on her own. But I think she got a whole lot more out of this, and certainly got a better experience as far as now. You know that you don't need the lead. If someone wants to go, you can certainly let them. But yet she's very quick in her own right. So I thought it was a really good learning experience for her.
And Lee says, LOL, good answer. Kelly is saying, thanks for this interview with Jockey Smith. You got it. Thank you for tuning in, Kelly. Before we move on to some other comments from our viewers, when you're looking at what's next, what are those next steps for her? Did you go back to the barn and see her the next day? Do you get up on her in the morning?
Actually, I probably would have gone over to see her the next day, but we had a storm here.
That's right.
They canceled races, and we had a bit of a rainstorm. So
how is everything? I'm so sorry. Yes. How is everything?
Oh, it's fine. We got a lot of rain, a little wind, but a whole lot of rain. But I'll probably see her tomorrow. I'll go out and see her tomorrow morning, and I'll wait and let Mr. Mandella pick out the game plan for her as far as where she's going to run next and what she's going to do. But I would imagine, after seeing what kind of talent she has, the Breeders' Cup is the main goal in mind for this year anyway.
I love it. And you, of your 27 Breeders' Cup Championship wins, 3 of those aboard 2-year-old fillies, Caledonia Road in 2017, Songbird, of course, 2015, and Stardom Bound 2008. What a pretty filly all of them beautiful, but
Yeah, that's some great fillies in that now Tamara. So we'll see if we can keep marching forward and be there.
I know the name's got, you get to the point where you're one name is sort of like Zenyatta, one name, but if you take it to the human realm, of course you got Cher, but you're right. Let's see here. Mike Smith, a winner. Absolutely. Truth Exposed, it says, was Zenyatta a bully when she started her surge into the second turn?
Was Zenyatta a what now?
A bully. I guess like she saw the horse and she said, I'm coming. Get out of my way.
It's when I rode her the first few times, you would think, okay, well, we got to get moving here because I don't want to leave her too much to do. And she would make up. Her turn of foot was just crazy sick. I mean, she would make up 5 lengths in 2 strides. I mean,
that's insane.
She really wouldn't. You'd go from thinking, well, I might have left her too much to do, to thinking, oh my, I'm going to run over somebody. I mean, she was a big bully. I remember there was one race where a filly saw me coming, and the rider tried to close the door on her, and I mean, she just kind of leaned into her with her shoulder, just one little jump, and sent that other horse to the middle of the racetrack in the turn. She was a big, powerful, strong mare as well, and she would just tower over them. I mean, she was 17-2.
Oh my goodness, yes.
It was really big. You could literally see over the top of the field. But she was a lot of fun to ride.
Well, no doubt. And obviously he's given us some of the most indelible memories we've had, not just in the Breeders' Cup, but in general in racing. And the thing that I always wondered was there was so much turf pedigree there for her. I wonder. I mean, I think she could have taken on the best of Europe. I do, because well, here's the thing. I mean, Ron Turcotte once said that as phenomenal, and I consider him to be the greatest horse of all time, Secretariat was. He said he was 15 lengths better on grass.
Yeah, that's it, which is hard to believe, but he also showed. I mean, he also showed that the 2 times he ran on grass, he was just incredible. It would have been fun to see what she would have done on it, but I think she would have loved it. But that turn of foot that she had, oh my.
She would just eat it up, I think. But it is exciting. We do see some of her relatives out on the track, and we're going to see more coming. The Confidence Game is out of Blue Assant. There's another a horse out of a Blue Assant named The Process, who I think is debuting very soon. And then there's a baby out of Balance, Zavrev, who's going to be getting on course very soon as well. So really exciting that family is still kicking. And, you know, the one thing I will also say to the people who are like, oh, well, she hasn't recreated herself. You know, how many foals has she had run, right? One.
Yeah, really just one. But they say, I mean, this last one, they say is her best looking one. They say she looks amazing. Well, you've seen her. I haven't seen her.
Oh, she's beautiful. And she's got personality.
Really, really beautiful. So maybe she saved the best for last. I certainly hope so. But look, for any of these horses if they could just be half as good as she was, that's saying a whole lot.
I would agree. And I mean, we do have somebody asking about, let's see here. And by the way, Truth Exposed, I didn't know you had a naughty hand signal going up there. So sorry, anybody offended by the middle finger.
Oh,
I didn't see it. I just saw the Martian. Oh, but let's see here. But I will say this. He does go on to say, because he's got a good comment here, her rear end was the biggest in the gate in 2009 Breeders' Cup when they're showing them loading. There was no room on either side. It's so true. Did you ever feel like a little claustrophobic in the gate with her?
It might have been why she was so big. She literally had to scrunch herself to be in there. It's probably why she wasn't any quicker out of there, because her nose would be touching and her butt when they shut the back doors. So it was just a little bit tight for her in there. And yeah, she was bigger than the boys. She really was. Yeah. That's why she could compete with them.
I know. She's so beloved. I mean, that fandom has not in any way waned at all. And I mean, I'm sure you have so many great memories with interacting with the fans and just the crowd she brought out. And like you said, the dancing, and it's just something that it all came together, and it came together with a team that it was fun to root for. And I say this all the time. You're one of the best ambassadors our sport has. You're so genuinely kind. You're such an upstanding person, ethically, you know, on and off the track, you know, and I think that people genuinely root for you because you just embody all that is good about racing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. We certainly tried, but her whole team, I mean, she had just an amazing trainer in John Sheriff, an amazing owner who let John take his time with her, and they shared her with the racing world. And I don't think there's a fan that if you got to see her in person, I bet you that fan has a picture with her. I mean, they shared it with everybody, which was pretty neat, because you don't hardly get to see that.
Yeah.
Every single fan that walks up to me walks up with a picture of them and her. You know, so it's pretty neat that so many people got to not only enjoy and watch her on, but get up close to her and take pictures with her, and it's pretty special.
Absolutely. And here's a comment. It's all right. We can take this on. Nick Feldman wants to say, he says, let's be real. Could she have caught down Rachel had they raced? I think Rachel would have won the photo. What do you think?
He's asking me, what does he think I think?
I mean, like, here's the thing though, right?
I think it's wrong.
I think it's wrong. Well, you know what? I stay neutral in all of it, just because like there's so many variables you don't know. If it's a 2-horse race.
They're both extremely talented mares.
Yes.
And
I don't like comparing
have a lot of success and you know, but you can't ask one. If you ask Calvin the same question, of course he would agree with this gentleman here, but
right.
I'm not going to agree with him.
Exactly. You gotta have that closing kick though, just so explosive. I've never seen anything quite like it, and it always left you on the edge of your seat. right? Every
Yeah.
time. Well,
Well,
literally.
she would make it closer than it would be the easiest head you ever won by. I mean, she's like to do that. Once she got to the last horse, she thought that the game was pretty much over, and she wasn't the type to try and draw away by 10, but she probably could have just about every time she ran.
Oh, here's a great comment. Thomas says, "Was there ever a better run from a horse than Arrogate in the Middle East? That Dubai World Cup was insane. I still remember Bob Baffert saying it was a secretariat-like performance."
It was what he did that night was, and look who he did it against. It wasn't like he just beat some
Gun Runner.
he didn't hear, but Gun Runner never went on to lose another race after that. When he was right, when he ran his A race, there's no one in the country could, or for that fact, maybe probably even the world could beat him at a mile and a quarter. He was just a freight train. He just kept going faster and faster and faster and faster. The farther you went, he just kept going faster. And I mean, for him to run a mile and a quarter in 1:59 at Saratoga, which had never been done, still hadn't been done. He still has the record. There was just an amazing horse. We lost him way too soon, and we're seeing his prodigy now. His babies now just are running through the screen. So at least that's good to see that part of it. But he's one that I certainly miss.
No, what you just said is so true. We lost him so soon, and it does look like his babies are running. I mean, we saw Arcangelo win the Belmont Stakes, first time going long. And you were there. You were actually doing analysis. What was that like for you? I mean, you've done it before.
It was a little nerve-wracking in the beginning until I got comfortable. But I enjoyed it. So it's something that I would think about doing when it's all said and done. I certainly liked it enough to try it. Anyway, we'll see.
Well, I love that insight that when you've ridden these races, you know these races, you know these tracks, their configurations, their quirks, the horses, the way they look, the way they're behaving. It makes you an invaluable resource for giving that type of analysis.
It could, they were in your ear. I never had that where they're talking to you at the same time you're speaking, and so everything was on a timeline. So it was hard to really go into some of the things I'd like to have said about the race, but anyway, you learn in time, and it was a great learning experience. I enjoyed doing it, and hopefully it gets some more opportunities.
Having been up against some of these horses and having also, as we just outlined, doing analysis for a race like the Belmont Stakes, which also included some of these 3-year-olds, do you have any thoughts on the Travers?
What a race, man! The winner, the Preakness winner, and the Belmont winner, all in the Travers. It's going to be a fun race to watch, wouldn't it? Along with Forte being in there, I mean, I can't wait to watch. I mean, I love to be riding it, but I mean, if it can't be riding it, I'm excited about watching it.
Well, I mean, that's the thing too. I mean, it is such a great rivalry. I feel like that we're seeing, be taken with the 3-year-olds. And the fact that you said, I mean, we've got the Preakness winner, the Belmont winner, the Jim Dandy winner, Forte, I would say for that Belmont, for him to run as well as he did to get second after not having run since the Florida Derby, that was huge, very, very impressive. Because can you speak to our viewers how hard it is for a horse to come from that type of layoff and then be asked to go a mile and a half?
Yeah, and not only you coming, from that type of layoff, but you're going a mile and a half against the best of the best. I mean, it's not like it would be a allowance race or some other ordinary stake race where you didn't have to worry about. But I mean, he had to run against the best at that time, and I agree. I thought he ran very well. Yeah. Although I was very impressed with Arcangelo. I did think Forte did run a big race and got a lot out of it, and came back and with a little bit of equipment change, the blinkers, blinkers really seemed to get him in the game a whole lot more without it. Sometimes they can overdo it. They get too aggressive, but it seemed to be just right for him. And so he's going to run big. They're going to have the running shoes on and as well as him, as he's going to have his on, because I mean, there's some talented 3-year-olds in there.
Well, I know it's not called the Summer Derby for nothing, and the Midsummer Derby. But it was really cool to see Arcangelo get out there. But as we were saying, it's bittersweet because his sire has passed away, Arrogate. Yeah. Tracy, I don't want her to think I ignored her. Tracy says, I'm a huge Haynesfield fan, so knowing Z took him down is amazing.
Yeah, she
It's a,
she took them all down except that last one, and she
oh my God.
no
Well,
short.
but you know, we all say, and I know you've heard it a million times now at this point, it was probably her best race because, and I know it's never going to be the best unless the wind is there, but you know what I mean.
You know, it thinks, you know, yeah, and it was certainly one of her best races by far. She ran just, you know, tremendous that night to even come as close as she did. And who knows what had happened? You know, she was gonna she retired right after that race, and if I'd have won it, I might have walked away with her. You know,
Oh my
you know,
God.
so man, it lit another fire in me so things seem to happen for a reason. Came back the following year and won it on Drosselmeyer at the same track, you know.
What you just said, I don't think I've ever heard before. I don't know if you've ever said that before. But that to me, what you just said makes so much sense. If you weren't meant to retire.
Yeah, I wasn't meant to retire because I had thought about that already. I said, you know, I think I'm gonna do it.
Think about it. The Triple Crown was in 2018.
I know, you know, that's just gotta work in serious ways.
That's amazing to me.
Although
Like
that's
seriously.
the toughest beat ever in my life, it also kept me in the game, you know.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I don't know that I ever would say I'm thankful for a loss, but if I was ever thankful for a loss, that would be it, right?
Yes, well, yes, but man, I'd still like to have that one back, man.
No, I know, but that was one of those reasons. I will say that we were just out. Matt's hosting a new show. It's called Flashback Friday. We're going back and watching some of the dramatic races, ones that we don't really see as much. Also, and so we were there at Claiborne Farm with Blame. And
look on his behalf, man, he's a super horse, and especially over Churchill, I think he was like 6 for 6.
Yeah.
And regardless if I got it back, I might have could have done 10 different things and maybe never gotten by Blame. It was just his race that night, and you know, you got to give him his props. And then he was a hard horse to get. Believe me, most horses I would have caught. It took a horse like him and an effort like he did that night to hold her off, because I came at him with a full head of steam and he wouldn't give up.
He was really and truly having a tremendous season, and so it's not, if you were going to lose, it's not like you just lost his son.
No,
you know.
especially over Churchill. You know, he that was his track, man. He loved that track as well. I mean, he'd win it over any track, but that one he had a favorite, and that they all have a favorite surface that they might just, you know, care for a little more than other tracks, and that was his ground.
Yeah, well, it was interesting because we all had the same thought. I mean, we were with Walker Hancock of Claiborne Farm, and we all had the same thought. At the start of the race, when we see you first go down the home stretch for the first time before you go in the first turn, we were all like, "Oh, is something wrong?"
Yeah, and I thought the same thing. She was just really she left the gate very uncomfortable that day. Just couldn't seem to get a hold of the footing at all for the first couple hundred yards, and if it would have continued just another jump or two, I might have just pulled her up. But all of a sudden she kind of got up and started taking me. I thought, well, man, we've got this impossible. I thought, well, if anyone can do it, it would be her. And she got, you know, within half a head short, you know, but for her to still run the way she did was pretty incredible.
Yeah, and also I always give props to Garrett Gomez too, because he was riding. I don't think a lot of people know he had a fractured shoulder, or something was wrong here, and he rode the race anyway. And I think he still actually, that wasn't even his only Breeders' Cup win that weekend with the bum shoulder.
Big weekend, and you wouldn't have known it was hurt, but and he rode a brilliant race as well. You know, he came out to me to let Blaine see her coming, and that certainly helped. You know, helped him go ahead and fight back and hold me off.
Well, I love this. Tracy says we have to appreciate Blame even more now. He kept Mike in the saddle all of these years, and I will say that, if you're gonna blame him for something,
I won't blame him for that.
We'll give him credit for this.
Yeah, I got to thank him for that, because I think I would have just called it her career in the winner's circle that night.
Oh gosh, I can't imagine it because all of the wins that have come since. We were talking about Arrogate, we're talking about Songbird, we're
Yeah,
talking about Triple Crown with Justify.
I have. I think I've had another Hall of Fame career since that race. To be honest,
Right?
yeah. So it's
Oh my
been very
gosh.
blessed. Thank God, man. It's been the sport has been amazing for me.
Well, it says,
To me,
what might have been meant for bad, he makes for our good, right?
yeah.
So I just love that. I really I really and truly do. I will say this, talking about Hall of Fame, and I don't want to keep you too long, but I want to say and give a shout out to Fernando the Bull Toro with his Hall of Fame induction. It was actually, you guys had a ceremony there at Del Mar. What
There,
was that like for you?
there, Del Mar, right after her race, actually.
Yeah.
After Tamara's race. Oh, it was great to see him. So well deserved. Should have been in probably years and years ago. Just an amazing rider. But as great as he was a rider, he's even that much greater as a human being. Anybody that knows him was just over the moon for him. Really excited for him and happy for him.
Did you see the video? I think it was Steve
Yeah,
who posted.
I saw
Yeah,
it.
that tears.
Yeah, that's the greatest video of all time. That's pretty neat.
It's so good. Do you remember when you got the call?
Yeah, I was in bed. I was asleep. It's California time, and it was Mr. Hamilton, Richard Hamilton. God rest his soul. He's passed since, but he called me to give me the news, and he woke me up. He said, "Did I wake you up?" I said, "Yeah, I did." He said, "Well, there's pretty good reason to wake you up. You just got inducted into Hall of Fame." And I was like, "Wow." I just fell out of the bed.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, I mean, Fernando too. One of the things I love about his story is he actually rode and won at the inaugural Breeders Cup 1984 aboard Royal Heroine in the mile. So, I mean, that's pretty awesome, I would say. And that was for John Gosden.
Yeah, just as brilliant rider, man. So I'm gonna go back and look at some of the great horses that he rode and great races he won. It was pretty amazing.
I love it. By the way, the Rachel Zenyatta debate still going on in comments. Y'all, we'll never know.
Yeah, we'll never know.
I will say, let's see here.
Just it's fun to debate about it, but it's no one will ever really know. Ricky
says Mike Smith. Bakara Pettis says hello.
Tell her I said hi. She's a lovely person, good friend of mine.
Richard Mandella said, Mike, been in the Hall of Fame 3 times. I mean, at this point, right? Can we reinduct you over and over again?
Wow, that's pretty neat coming from him.
I
just made my day.
But it's true. I mean, this career is insane. Let's see. I just wanted to get back because this will bring us back real quickly where we can then sort of bring it full circle around. Let's see. Oh, this is a good question. Are you planning to ride any days at the upcoming Keeneland Fall Meet?
Well, I sure hope so. I absolutely love riding at Keeneland, and I hope to. I hope I get a few mounts over there in the fall. We'll see. I hope it gets me there.
Are you going to be going to Kentucky Downs at all as well?
Yeah, it's so funny, Ren. I've never even ridden a race at Kentucky Downs. I've been there.
You gotta come out, get him out.
Autograph session, but yeah, I love to go there. And I love to, slip right into Nashville after that and get to hang out there and eat at old Jeff Ruby's and have fun.
Oh my gosh, what's your favorite thing to order there?
Oh, Jeff Ruby's, everything is amazing. I love food, period. It's food and steaks. Being from New Mexico and Texas, I guess steaks would probably be my favorite, and there's none better than that.
And he is so nice. Jeff is so nice.
He's like family. Yeah, he's like a father to me.
He genuinely loves the horses, and he's a humanitarian as well. I mean, he's somebody who's
a good man. He's got a big heart too, boy. He tries to act tough, but he's a big teddy bear.
I know. I saw him. He did sent out supplies and went out to East Palestine, Ohio.
Oh, wow.
When the train derailment happened, and I commend him. And so whenever I eat there, I feel good about paying the check.
I agree. I totally agree. He's a wonderful
Uh,
man.
let's
Great family. The whole family is just good, great people.
Yes, yes. Nick. So he says, "Go Rocket Ride looks like he could be better than any of the Travers runners. Will you be riding him next out?" Yes. And where might that be? Nick, if you were coming in late, he's going to be in the Pacific Classic.
Yeah,
And
he's doing well. He's training well too. I'm excited about him. He's got a lot of upside to him, and like to
that's
see him run against older horses and see how he does.
the $1 million FanDuel Racing Pacific Classic. That is a win, and you're in also for the Classic. But he already punched his ticket there in the Haskell. Now, again, it'll be his first start against older horses. You will be going the 1.25 mile distance, which is the same.
There's two other 3-year-olds in there that are really nice as well. Again, you'll have Arabian Night will be back in there probably,
Yeah.
I believe, and then you're gonna have Skinner will be back in there.
Skinner's a cool horse.
Yeah, he's starting to come around to himself. He got a good race in it. He hadn't run it as well, like Forte. You know, he had to come off a bit of a long layoff, not running since the San Anita Derby. Last time out at Los Al, and still ran a really, really good second, and it should have gotten a lot out of that, and it should move him forward. So it's going to be a great race. You got 3 very talented 3-year-olds, and then of course the really good old horses in there.
Yeah, and I believe that you were aboard him for a workout on Friday. This is from Steve Anderson of the DRF, and you went 7 furlongs.
You talking about Go Rocket Ride?
Yes.
Yeah, he worked by himself too. He worked really well, which is, it's 7 furlongs by yourself in the morning. Sometimes I tend to get bored and kind of, just the last 1/8 of a mile or so, just kind of go through the motion. But he went really well for him. He's never been a real generous workhorse in the morning where he's always just kind of, I'll just do whatever it takes to get around here, and unless you put some company with him, and then of course he gets really focused then. But so for him to do what he did, going 7/8 the other morning was by himself was really good.
All right, awesome. And you've actually, for those who don't know, I mean, you've won 4 Pacific Classics, came home for Paco Gonzalez, 2009 and 2010 with Richard's Kid for Bob Baffert, and 2014 with Shared Belief, Jerry Hollendorfer, owned by Jim Rome. That was another cool horse gone.
Boy, he's never really gotten his due. That horse was a serious horse. I mean, he beat California Chrome when California Chrome was at his best, more than once. He was an impressive horse, man. There's no telling how good he could have been. One of his only really defeat was in the Breeders' Cup when he just got annihilated, leaving there, and still got up several times. He got annihilated. Should have been about 8th or 10th in the race, and still got up and ran 4th, only beaten 2 lengths. I mean, how
was that one? Byron.
Byron. That gate just made a left, and then just basically just knocked us. I don't know how he stayed up, really.
That became a verb in you got Byron.
Yeah.
In the handicapping circles, I don't know if that caught on in the backside there. But I mean, just again, a tremendous talent that we were able to enjoy. And you go back to Beholder, and you just mentioned California Chrome. Beholder won the Pacific Classic, again, the only filly to do that. Or female to do that. I still remember I was at Ciro's with Matt, and Ramiro Restrepo was right by us, and we were all watching the screen there on the patio. You've been there, I'm sure, at Ciro's.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We were standing there going, "Oh my gosh, that move she made down the backside!" I know, again, it was Stevens riding her, but you were in that race.
Well, I'm trying to think if I was in the race.
You were on class leader.
I think I became a fan. Just watching her take off, it was like, whoa, man, there was no catching her. That was probably one of, if not her best, one of her best races of all. I mean, it was just incredible. She didn't just beat them. She pretty much just spanked everybody and put us all to bed.
I know, again, that you are so close with Gary Stevens. Has he shared his insight with this particular race?
Oh yeah, he says, he still says, I think if you ask him, he'd probably say she was the best horse he ever ridden.
I mean, this is
certainly one of them. I mean, I'm sure he's very, very fond of her, but he's ridden a lot of great horses, but she's certainly one of the greatest he's ever ridden.
So this is the race here, and we can just talk, even though I know, again, you're not aboard here, but it is fun to look back, and this is one of those mares for the ages here. And now that we're seeing a filly out of Beholder, Tamara, you sent on into the winner's circle on debut, and after overcoming problems as well. I just think it's so cool, and it's really fun for the fans, because it's like having your favorite character in a book, and you don't want that book to end, but here's the next volume, and you right.
Exactly. Yeah. So here's her baby, and let's see where the journey takes us. Like, again, I'm really excited about her and what the future has to hold for her.
And how hard is it to ride 1.25 miles? I mean, that's another question for you riders. I know you're working at the gym day in, day out, watching what you eat.
It depends, I guess. If you're on Beholder right here, it ain't that hard.
That's a good answer.
And if you're on any of the others, well, it gets pretty tough right in here. Trying to pretty much let the wind out of your sails when she took off like this. I mean, it you just wilt.
That's the thing.
So it can be tough, but if you're on her right now, Gary, I mean, his heart's about this big right now, and he's pumped, man. He's loving what's happening right now. He wants to go around again.
Yeah, and he's another. I mean, what he did with her also. I mean, coming back out of retirement, and he wins the Distaff, and he also wins the Classic in the same championship weekend. I mean, that was incredible too.
Yeah, he rode her very well, and again, changing her style a little bit really prolonged her career and made her even better. She wasn't having to be on the, whereas before she would be up on the lead. Now they got her to settle, and man, what a turn of foot. She'd use that turn of that speed that she had. They turn it into a finish, and a turn of foot. And man, you just saw what she was able to do once she learned to settle like she did.
And I would also like to ask if you've seen, now having, again, a relationship with her, a relationship with her 2-year-old daughter, Tamara. Did you see her colt, her yearling colt by Curlin, go for $4 million at the Saratoga Select Sale? Went to a friend of mine, Amr Zaidan. Bob Baffert's going to be training. See, here's another reason why you need to stay riding.
Yeah, that's I'm sure them watching her run the way she did certainly made them feel a whole lot better about spending that $4 million for this colt.
Yes.
What a good looking colt he is too, man. What a gorgeous horse.
I know. For those of you who have not seen, he needs one of those big time names. He does. I think Tapa's back in action too, right?
I believe so. Yeah, he's been over at Los Al, so I think he's back in training now. I don't know if Bob has him here at Del Mar yet, but if not, he should be pretty soon.
And the other thing that I going back to this colt and the pedigree and the family and the dynamics of it. Here you have a horse who is by a Hall of Famer in Curlin, and he's out of a Hall of Famer in Beholder. And some people forget that Beholder's also a half sister to Mischief, who's just,
I know,
right? And and Mendelssohn. So the dynamics here are just so deep, and
that's why that price tag went up there.
Oh, I know. So I'm guessing you weren't here, right? You were.
I was back here in Del Mar when he sold, but I think I had worked Tamara right around the time that he sold, and she worked so well. I said, man, I could see why they're spending that kind of money on.
Did Bob say anything to you after that win? Saying good.
Yeah, he was actually very, very, very impressed with the way Tamara ran. He actually sent me a text, said, "Wow, that was impressive."
It so was. And again, this is her half brother by Curlin, sold for $4 million at the Saratoga sale for through Fasig Tipton. And what a looker he is. He really's got the Curlin genetics kicking here with the chestnut and everything.
The chestnut, but he looks amazing.
Well, I have to thank you for the time that you put in. I'm just going to wait till it hits 4 million and then I'll pop us up big screen side by side. And I will say, your beautiful bride, Cynthia, right? She likes the Middle Eastern food like I like the Middle Eastern food, right?
Yes, she does. She's
okay.
Originally, her family's from Lebanon, yeah.
I don't know if you guys have been down to El Cajon at all.
No.
Okay.
Is that the spot?
Yeah, that's a spot. You got to go to El Cajon, and why you have to go to El Cajon is this. So my people are the Chaldeans, or ethnically, you know, from the north of Iraq. So we go back to the Assyrian Empire, right? So when they started immigrating, a lot of them, you know, in the 20s and 30s went to Michigan, and then there's another community that went to San Diego or in the El Cajon area. There's such good food there, Mike. Like if you got one of those days where you can cheat on your diet or whatever you want to eat.
We'll definitely try that. I'm gonna as soon as we get off, I'm gonna look up some spots there and see if we can get over there.
Well, I'm gonna tell you though, I mean, it's like some of they're not super fancy restaurant or anything like that.
Food, yeah.
But that's sometimes where you find the best food. And this is why I say if you can cheat, because the bread is bigger than my torso. And it is so good. It is it's so good. And it's an entire spread. So take your friends with you so you can share.
We'll go on a Monday afternoon.
There you go. It's called Alibaba.
Alibaba,
like Alibaba in the 40s. So there's 2 locations. One is, I think, a little north of Del Mar, and the other one is the original down in El Cajon. But I'm telling you, you cannot go wrong. It's on point. She'll love it.
We're definitely going to try it.
Well, I have to thank you so much for your time. It's always a pleasure. And I sincerely mean it every time that
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no, it's a blessing to have you on because you just, I don't know, you're like a bright shining light in our sport and we're always rooting for you. And if you have any final thoughts, I'm going to leave it to you about, you know, racing, what we have to look forward to, whether it's Tamara, Pacific Classic, Breeders Cup, whatever.
Just these next 2 weekends of racing are going to be fun to watch. You know, I'm looking forward to watching the Travers, and then right after that, the following Saturday, we have the Pacific Classic out here at Del Mar. So it's going to be a lot of fun racing coming up. Not to mention these baby races that are going to be, you know, towards the end of the meet here at Del Mar and upstate New York and Saratoga. There's going to be a lot of, you'll get to see the future stars.
That's for sure. And I got a star right here, a proven one. And thank you so much for your time, Mike. And thank you to everybody who was watching and interacting with us. Really appreciate it. I'll be back here next Tuesday with your Future Stars forecast on a 2-year-old Tuesday. In the meantime, stay good. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Have a good day.